What's up, everybody? A Left It Wall update. Left It Wall is now available on Tubi. What does that mean? That means you get to watch it for free. I know there's so many streaming services out there, so many monthly fees, that sometimes renting or buying something just seems like a pain and yet another expense. Well, now it's available free. If you're not already using Tubi, I highly recommend it. You can get it on your smart TV, or you can just watch it online on your computer. Just type in Left It Wall movie, and the Tubi link should come up as one of the available ways to watch it. So if you haven't watched it yet, come on. Now you've got to. Left It Wall on Tubi. Episode 104, Kerri Van Auken. Kerri Van Auken is an actress, writer, and comedian. For a brief period of time, myself, and Joe Moran ran a show together at a punk shop in Pasadena. Then the pandemic happened. Kerri and I crossed paths again this past June at the Hollywood Fringe. Her show, Blackout, blew me away. It inspired me to write a solo theater show, and I knew I had to have her on. Please welcome to the show, Kerri Van Auken. Kerri Van Auken, how are you?
I'm doing well, Ron. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks so much for doing this show. I'm so excited to talk to you because I've known you for a pretty long time, but I only know so much about you. And that changes today, which I'm very stoked about. So let's start at the beginning. What's your origin story? Where are you from? Tell me about childhood.
Oh, good. I was born in Helena, Montana on October 19th. I'm a Libra. And in the morning at 9:30, and that is still my most active period of the day.
Nice.
9:30 a.m. You just have that spark ready to go. And I grew up mainly in Seattle area, the suburbs of Seattle. I graduated from college in Washington State. I moved to Chicago after that and got my master's. And then a few years...
I don't think I knew that about you. What do you have your master's in?
I have actually 2 degrees in theater.
Wow.
I have my bachelor's of arts in theater and my MFA in theater performance.
Nice.
Yes.
So you have, that would allow you, is there a PhD in theater? Is that a thing?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
There
absolutely.
is? Okay.
Absolutely.
I wasn't sure if it was more like specified, like there's theater history, or I know there's PhDs in performance studies.
Sure.
I didn't know if just a straight up PhD in theater was a thing.
No, I think you're right about being specific. I don't think there's a general PhD in like theater. I think you have to have a certain, I don't want to speak on that because I'll sound like a ding dong, but
yeah, neither one of us know for sure, but
yeah, exactly. But I do know I have many theater academic scholar friends who do have their PhDs and are much, much smarter than I.
Well, did you ever think about going that route?
Well, part of the reason I got my master's was so I could teach at a university if I chose to. And I have. And I've taught week-long workshops in improv and comedy. So I've gotten to teach actually what I love, which was a rare opportunity. And I've taught at high schools and schools around the area, and having my master's was what helped get me the job as well.
Teaching is actually really fun. I have a master's and I taught college as well, not in theater, but yeah.
I think I did know that.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I feel like we chatted about that at a mic or something.
Did we? But then you didn't say, "Oh, I do that too."
Yeah, maybe not.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm always looking for the adjunct positions that I could pop in and fill, but I learned that I do not want to be a full-time teacher.
Yeah, same. All right. That's interesting.
Bless you if you do. And I almost went that route, but it was, as my friend would tell me years ago, every time I'd get frustrated performing and hit some other roadblock about not being successful or not having enough work, I default back to, well, I'll just go teach then.
Yeah, me too. Oh man, I think that's something we all do. And whenever I'm really discouraged, I look at PhD programs. That's like literally what I do. Whenever I'm really discouraged about like where things are going with comedy or film or an audition didn't go well, I look at PhD programs. And then after a few minutes, I'm like, yeah, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
But I have that moment. And my wife knows, like when she sees me on some .edu website, like, he had a day. He didn't have a good day. That's funny how we all do that. All right. Sorry. Continue.
But no, you're right. And my friend Carol Ann would say to me, she'd be like, Kerri, that's someone else's dream.
Well said. Would you say the friend's name is?
Carol Ann.
Carol Ann, well put. I need to keep Carol Ann's words in my mind next time I do that.
Yeah, or I would have been teaching kindergarten in the South Bay right now if I had just gone with my kind of freak out mentality of just the sheer amount of dealing with parents and the BS teachers have to put up with on a daily basis. There's absolutely no way. Plus, you can't be an actor if you're a teacher full time.
No, you definitely can't. I mean,
you can't. I tried. You cannot do it.
Really?
You can't be available for auditions like you.
Right.
It's a little different now with the self-taping, but nonetheless, you are 1,000% beholden to those children.
So what got you interested in theater before we get too far ahead?
Yeah.
Let's continue to fill in some of the gaps first.
Yeah. So I was always drawn to performing and acting out what I saw in my head. I mean, since I can remember, since I was probably 3 years old are my earliest memories. And it was always of taking the pictures I saw in my head and acting them out, or taking the information I got from the world and interpreting it myself. And I remember seeing a children's theater production of, I don't know, Peter Pan or something like that. And I was just enamored with the set and the costumes and the makeup and the pretty ladies. And, I just wanted to be part of that. I could not wait to be in my first whatever. So I just started doing it. I was that girl in the neighborhood that made all the younger little dum-dums do shows. And
you had a little troupe going.
Yeah. And they was like, oh, whatever. And, or my brother. I just did it. And then I studied it in college after about a year of trying to maybe I don't want to do this. Maybe I should get something practical. And I was trying a communications degree, thinking that was
much more practical. So much.
What an
way
idiot,
to go.
I know.
I mean, the only way you could have gone a notch up is if you would have gone literature. That's the only. I mean, this is coming from a guy with a communication degree, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough for that. So the communications, it was I tried to do both theater and it was just theater is very time consuming major for sure. So there's just not really time to do both. But that's what it was. It was just that was my place to do my thing. And it just I can't really say more than that. And other than it was just what I've always done and enjoyed to do.
What was it like growing up because I lived in Seattle for a couple of years, but I lived there as an adult. So how was that growing up for you? I love that city.
I loved the city. We lived in Redmond, which is about 20 or so miles east. It's where Microsoft is based. At that time of being little, though, Microsoft was a building or two maybe. And we had one stoplight in our town. We lived up on the hills in the woods. It was almost like being in Dagobah. That's how I described it. Just this mist and the green and the trees and the hills and fun places to play in the yard, but kind of a dreary, sad. I always just kind of felt a bit sad growing up and a bit melancholy. And I learned later on why that was, but
why was it?
The weather. I just
really?
Can't. Yeah. The minute I left to go to college, which was in the middle of the state where they have actual sunshine.
Yeah. Where was your undergrad?
Central Washington University.
Okay. All right. So that is, hold on. Let me see if you remember. Ellington.
Oh, close. Ellensburg.
Ellensburg. Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I kind of combined. I knew that wasn't right, but I thought like my letters and sounds were close. Okay. Ellensburg. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Been there.
And then, and I just never went back. It looks like the sunshine. I'm like, I didn't know that's what it was, but it was. And so, that I'm here in Southern California, you're going to have to pry me out of here. I mean, like, I don't know if I could leave.
The fascists might take you up on that.
I know.
Be careful what you say.
I know. Why did I say that?
We're trying to pry a lot of people out of here.
Yeah, I know.
We'll call your bluff on this one.
Yeah, God.
Well, it's interesting. So I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area, which has, so far, in my experience, some of the worst weather in the world. Now, I've not traveled enough to say that totally definitively, but it's pretty terrible. And so far, everywhere I've been, it comes in last by a significant amount. And when I moved to Seattle, I was wondering what people were complaining about. I was like, what are people complaining about up here? And then I realized, like, oh, wait, I grew up in the cloudiest, rainiest place in the U.S. It just didn't get the type of attention that Seattle does. Like Seattle has that reputation of being so rainy, which I think in a lot of ways you all just made up so people from California didn't buy up too much property. I still think it's like, that's actually, I think they made all that up.
Yeah, we don't the traffic is terrible now though, because everyone moved up there. It's got
I know. Yeah,
it's terrible. But on a sunny day, it is the most spectacular, beautiful place, and that's always been. But I have to tell you, just because Microsoft did kind of develop it, it's not the same. I grew up in Redmond, had a very small town. It was like a bunch of farmers and new money tech, and my existence was in this kind of like white suburban, fancy hilltop existence, and then down the hill were like lesser homes and the more lower middle class existence. And so that's it's like this gated community in the middle of the forest. It's really strange. That's how it was.
That's what Redmond was back in the day. All right, interesting.
Yeah. It's bizarre.
So then what brought you to Chicago? Was it just grad school specifically, or was it like, I'm going to go to Chicago and then figure it out and then grad school happened, or what's the timeline there?
I would like to say that I just moved to Chicago to check it out first, but I wasn't brave enough to do that. I needed to have a purpose. So I did audition for grad schools and got into one in Chicago, and the auditions were in Chicago. And at that time it was a February, and Chicago happened to have some weird warm snap of 60 degrees and sunny.
Yeah, that's not February in Chicago usually.
Exactly. And I'm just like, what the heck? Speaking of people making up stuff about the weather, I'm like, this is fantastic. And it was so beautiful. And we were staying on Michigan Avenue. And I mean, it was a magical, magical time. And when I got in Chicago, I'm like, heard great things about the theater scene, the art scene, and I'm super glad I ended up there for sure.
Oh, it's a wonderful place. Yeah.
I adore it.
So where was grad school then? Where'd you go?
At Roosevelt Chicago College of Performing Arts. So it was downtown in the Loop.
Wow.
Which was cool. And since I already had the conventional college campus experience, it was fun for me to, have a city like Fame. The Fame type of experience, and then take the L. And it was my first time living in a proper city without a need for a car, and I loved it.
Yeah, that is an amazing experience. I think that might be my least favorite part of LA is just a car-free lifestyle is next to impossible. I mean, it's possible depending on, where you live and work, but it's next to impossible, especially if you're trying to do the show business thing in any capacity. You just need a car because you never know where you might need to go.
Well, it just gets too expensive. I've tried it for a while, and there's a lot of places I can lift to and walk to around here. But eventually it's like, you're going to want to take a class or go see a bunch of shows, and it's just, you got to be mobile. But that was the beauty. Chicago was just a special city because of that. And that no matter, there were so many theaters, they had and all theaters were in different neighborhoods, and each neighborhood had its own character and always places to eat and drink and hang out and coffee and blah, blah, blah. And you just take the train.
Yeah.
Didn't think a thing of it, or walked.
So what happens after you finish? You finish grad school. Do you stay in Chicago a little bit?
I stay in town.
Okay.
I stay doing the off-loop theater thing and taking some improv. Thought, I'm here and it's pretty good here at the Second City. And so I started taking improv, and then a theater buddy of mine decided to form a sketch duo. So we started doing sketch comedy. Female duo, size 8. And at that time, it was early 2000s, and we wanted to kind of mix. We liked sketch comedy, but we thought we wanted to add more boom and video components and costumes, and maybe apply a more theater-centric sensibility to sketch comedy that we hadn't seen. So that's what we started doing. And I just basically did one play that was like, you get to a point where there's always something to work on in Chicago. And if you're any good at all, you'll always find something to be in. But they aren't always great. And you never know how it's going to turn out. And sometimes you're just working for free, and you're just kind of like, I'm so tired of being in bad plays, someone else's bad play. If I'm going to do a bad play and work this hard, I want it to be my own bad play. So that's what kind of pushed me into start making my own work.
Mm-hmm. So you started writing plays in Chicago, or was it just the sketch duo thing? Or was
sketch, and then video and live sketches. And then my ex and I wrote a web series, and then I worked on a couple other smaller short filmy projects with a group we had called Roxbox Productions. And that was my first foray. But it was, at that time, it was still early into the camera scene. So people weren't doing this. If you were shooting video, you had money to buy a camera. Mm-hmm. It was expensive. It wasn't, it was flip phone city still. So that eventually evolved. It got to the point where I could afford my Panasonic, my little JVC. And
I remember those.
Like $600 in it. And then I taught myself editing on Windows Movie Maker.
Oh man, I never learned Windows Movie Maker. I think iMovie was my first array.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same. I mean, it is. It pretty much is. But yeah, I just wrote basically short form content, whatever that word is now. It's so weird to see the scene evolve, how it's evolved.
Sure.
Having participated in it in some form since 2003.
Do you like it better now or then?
I appreciate the accessibility to equipment and technology advancements.
Sure.
Because I enjoy it and it's less expensive. I appreciate that we can self-tape auditions and do things like that. I don't like the lack of person-to-person contact. I miss more live experiences. I think that when you start using technology as your main way to communicate to other people and like use the cameras as opposed to the live, I will always worry about the live going away. Like when we'd use the video in our live show, it was always that balance of, is that going to destroy the momentum in the audience by using this? Is that going to destroy that connection we're having with this live energy we're creating? Because it's energy. And I worry about the energy getting kind of lost and muted in the blanket of and turns into white noise eventually. That there's too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't even know what to choose. And there's so many talented, wonderful things, wonderful people making cool stuff out there. And who knows if we'll ever see it all. And we're going to see a lot of other things in the meantime looking for it.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about the stand-up world, you know, like I think about what it was like when I started, and I think about how it is now, and you know, when I meet like new comics and stuff like that, and I just think I feel like overall I liked it then a little bit better, and I'm glad I came up when I did compared to now. I think it's really great that, you know, we can all post clips and that more people like it's just more common in our culture for people to kind of follow comedians now than it ever has been before. I think that's awesome. I think it's awesome that like everyone can kind of find their audience. That's fantastic. But the way the road works now compared to the way it used to, the way it's just so trendy now that like a lot of mid-sized cities, you can't even really get like an open mic spot and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. That's what I've been hearing. That's what because I occasionally, you know what Plausible is? Have you heard of that?
No.
So it's this platform where they just do a bunch of comedy shows and open mics. Like it's basically like Zoom, but it's just for comedy.
Okay.
And it's kind of cool because like sometimes they'll just have open mics at like 10 in the morning or noon, because it's just people on their lunch hour, or people who just happen to be around and want to work on some material. So you meet people from all over the place, and everything from, you know, new comics to veterans, that to everything in between. And, you know, I meet some of the new comics, and some of them, it's like they're there because they just can't get a spot in town, because like a lot of the open mics, you know, they have to cut off the list now because so many people are showing up, and they have to do like lotteries now and stuff like that. And it's just crazy. I mean, obviously you're used to that in LA, but it's like these are just average mid-sized cities that are having to do that now. And I'm just, that's crazy.
You know, I wonder what's gonna, you know, I've been doing this world for a very long time. And I've been, you know, back when you had to mail in a headshot to a theater to get an audition to one play, to get an audition. And you had to do all this stuff to get the job. And it's easier to have people get their stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, that's really cool. That I really do like. But the hustle is changed in that it's turning more into an electronic hustle than a physical hustle.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah.
And it kind of freaks me out. It scrambles my brain a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't like looking at myself all that much.
Sure. I feel you. Yeah.
And, you know, you have to worry. It's true. The art and commerce, it's a tricky little, do they ever go together?
Right. If you're asking me, I don't know if you're.
Yeah, I don't know. Do they ever go together? Like tech and art right now.
Yeah.
It's like, in some ways I'm like, thanks guys. But in other ways I'm like, you really kind of some of this experience.
Yeah.
Which is why one of the reasons I did Fringe was to do theater again.
Yeah. Well, we're about to get to that. I'm so excited to talk about that with you. So yeah, let's dive in. I saw your show Blackout, and I loved it. I had so much fun watching that show, and I will tell you, like, you know, usually whenever it's a one person show and once it like creeps up past 60 minutes, you get like when you're reading about it ahead of time, you get a little nervous when you see that number. You're like, well, it's a one person show. It is this, but yours like flew by. Like I felt like when it ended, I was like, it's over. Like it was. I really did. I'm not like I really loved it. So I want to talk to you about it. Well, first of all, tell everybody, let me turn it over to you. Tell everybody what it was.
Blackout was my first one-person play about, it was kind of a little fairy tale about a woman in Arrested Development, middle age, who's kind of in a bad patch, and she has a little accidental-ish sort of hallucinogenic trip that takes her into a dreamland where she confronts some long overdue moments in her life and tries to come to confront her feelings and accept the fact that she's run away from them her whole life. So it's about her realizing she's finally got to confront her feelings no matter how hard it might be.
So you kind of mentioned it briefly that you just really wanted to get back to the theater, but what kind of like spawned you writing that? Like how did that all come to fruition?
That was about a longer journey. Someone had told me a long time ago I needed to write a one-woman show, and I'm like, whatever, who's going to want to watch that? And then it was always just in the back of my mind. And so about 8 years ago, I was looking up solo theater in LA, and I saw Soaring Solo, Jessica Lynn Johnson, and she does these free workshops and classes. And I went to one, and I was like, and they read, this woman was talking about her play about her sobriety. And at the time I'm like, oh, absolutely fucking not. I'm not ready to do this kind of work. Mm-hmm. This is no. And I left and I did not go back. But over the years, after the pandemic, I realized that I hadn't done anything artistically, that I didn't know what I wanted to do. I did not know what I wanted to do anymore. I didn't have any theater company. I didn't have any real friends to make stuff with. I had myself, so I had to start there. And I said, okay, I'm only going to make things that I enjoy. And that's it. That's my only criteria. So then I found Soaring Solo 7 more years later on this woo-woo sort of like hike through Topanga and put a stake in the ground with your intentions group activity, which, if you know me, I hate groups. This is not my jam at all. I end up meeting some really great people, and that's put my stake in the ground. I'm like, all right, I have connections with this group, and I'm going to start working on a show. Mm-hmm. And then a year and a half later, I did it. So honestly, when I say I didn't know what it was going to look like, I didn't know what I was going to talk about, I mean that. I didn't. I created it breath by breath, and I followed what my gut told me to do. If my gut told me to draw a picture that day, I drew a picture. If my gut told me to stand up and speak a monologue, and I do that. And then I'd work with Jessica and developed the script chunk by chunk. My biggest hang up was getting the courage to talk about what I talked about and getting over that hump. And it was also, I'm a
Why
person.
Is that?
Because it was embarrassed and no one really knows me. I was tired of nobody in LA knew that I was a theater actor. No one knows anything really about me. I dicked around in stand up for a bit, and then that was really it. But I'd never gone out and said, hey, this is what I can do. And I wanted to, it was really important for me to have it be super authentic rather than me playing another character, because that's very easy for me and very natural. And while I do want to play other characters, the message had to be from my personal experiences for this show anyway. For my first time out, I wanted it to be personal. I'm over that now. I'm ready to dive into something else. But talking about alcohol has such a stigma. And I realized that my slow quitting drinking unearthed the fact that I had been drinking to bury feelings. And that really scared me. And so I thought, I cannot be the only one who does this with drinking. It doesn't have to be drinking. It could be other things. But part of my research in doing my show was researching about emotions and how we have them and how we experience them and how different people feel them in different ways. and what your body holds on to in terms of trauma, and how I choked in a callback, and I started Googling, why did I choke in this callback? And I realized that I hadn't been connecting with my actual physical being. My body was storing still a bunch of unexpressed feelings. And it was literally unblocking all of those. And that was kind of the process of the show. And then it kind of just, funny little scenes wrote itself. Some, I knew characters would pop out. I just trusted my intuition. It's not perfect. And I mean, I want to fix it. And I know some people really didn't like it at all.
No, really?
Yeah. Which is fine. I mean, like, it's art, whatever. It's totally cool.
Yeah.
I wish they could tell me why, though, because it's not very helpful.
Well, how do you know they didn't like it then?
Because of their reactions.
Oh, okay.
Someone said, I actually flat out, some guy goes, that was great work. And I'm like, did you really like it? He's like, that was great work.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. But anyway, that's fine. Like, that's cool. But I wish I could, but I think I'm sorry, I kind of lost my center there.
Well, you were talking about how you walked away from booze and how, that made the personal part of the show really, really hard.
It did. Yeah. It just to say that without a fear of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to stop judging myself and kind of understand where it was coming from. And I read this book called Quit Like a Woman. And she's about my age roughly. And she talks about, corporatization and advertising and alcohol and women and, how damaging all of that is. And there's so much on this topic that I wanted to address, but just couldn't because there's not enough time. This is one play. So that is why I had to focus on the feeling aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Just me getting comfortable with my weird feelings. And why do I feel that James Taylor moment when I have that hyperreact? I have that. That actually happens. Why? Nothing happened to me with James Taylor. This isn't some traumatic thing. It's more just how my body actually responds to the sound of his voice and music.
Wow. Yeah.
So I unearthed a bunch of sensory issues that I have had my whole life, and I just didn't know.
So what were some of the biggest discoveries for you then throughout it?
That I do have massive sensory issues that I I'm in the process now of getting seeking out a formal diagnosis in terms of in addition to the sensory issues, there is the emotional dysregulation that I would have, my outsized reactions to things, all these things that I would mask with alcohol. And it would just kind of numb that and take that down so I could just deal with that when I didn't have that. And then I walked into Las Vegas, and I'll never forget it. I walked into a casino sober, and I was like, get me the fuck out of here right the fuck now. I cannot handle this.
I actually think that's a totally okay reaction to a casino, though.
I agree. However,
I have a similar reaction, sober or not sober, to tell you the truth.
Well, true. And then now, my whole life has been in headphones. I can't drive on the freeway. There's all this visual input structure I have built around myself that look like quirks, but it's me just handling the environmental stressors. So
when you say sensory issues, what are some kind of specifics there? Because I know that can be interpreted broadly.
So sensory, for me specifically, I have hearing sensory issues. So let's say I'm sitting in a room and my boyfriend's in the other room playing the TV, and then he'll go in the other room and put on something else. If I'm sitting there and hear those competing sounds, I'm gonna have a freak out. If I have too many things happening at one on top of the other while I'm trying to focus on something, I'm gonna have a freak out. Transitions are hard for me. Waking up was always like a family joke. Waking Kerri up and getting her up in the morning was like the light. Is it bright in here? My favorite place, what I realized when I was at a public pool when I was about 5 years old, I hated the environment. It was cold and echoey and noisy. And then I learned to breathe underwater. And I remember going under that water and just going, oh my God, this is where I want to be forever. Can we just make it under here? It was always my favorite place to be, in some sort of like, I tell people, if I could just live in a glass bubble and see everything and then interact or invite you into my bubble, I would be really jazzed.
That's so. Do you like to swim?
I love to swim, but it's more the floaty and the going underwater part. Okay. Where it just goes.
Yeah. I mean, that is neat.
And just shuts it all down. That is my favorite place to be.
Yeah, I hear. I mean, I love that too, but I think for me, I just love everything about swimming. Like I always did. I love just being in the water. I love, just the whole process of it, and even like just the drying off process, like the way your body feels. Like it's just like it's almost like a rebirth.
The best end of days, the best tired to me still is swimming tired.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it feels so good. Like you just feel like such an amazing sense of accomplishment, and your body just feels fulfilled. I think it's incredible. And when I was a kid, like one of my favorite things to do would be just go swimming all day, and then like as the sun was going down in the summer, I had a little swing set, and I would sit on the swing set and just swing back and forth, and I would listen to my cassette player that I had. I had like one of those Walkman things. Yeah. It was back then. And that was just paradise to me. Like that was just perfect.
Oh my God. We used to go to the lake. That was what we did in Washington and Redmond. We'd get dropped off at the lake. So that was back in the 80s when we'd get dropped off at the lake. Bye.
We'll see you later.
We'll see ya. It was great. Like 8 years old. Get the fucking lake. No lifeguards at this one lake called Pine Lake. And it was seriously bye, kid. Oh, I love the 80s. It was the best. But yeah, put on the Walkmans. That's what my brother and I called them, walkers.
Walkers, okay.
Yeah, I mean, once I found headphones, that was the other thing. I'm like, bye, world.
Headphones are great. Yeah.
I do rely on them in group settings. I can only hang in group settings for a short amount of time without getting tired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, so that Fringe was rough in that aspect of it.
It challenged one's social battery. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the networking. I loved it. Like it was so much fun. Yeah. But yeah, there were times where I'm like, oh, I need to recharge. This is just too much socialization.
It's too much. But I learned a lot. I learned what I would and would not do for sure. That was very, very helpful.
Well, I'll ask you one kind of technical question. I know we've talked about this off mic, but I really love the way you use multimedia in yours. Like it was just very clever the way you did it, and the cues were like just so tight. And I almost felt it like I was just like, geez, if I was her, I'd be so overwhelmed right now by all this, because you just had. Like you had a lot going on. I mean, you had like different backdrops and different, like cues and different things, and it was very clever. So how did you kind of put all that together?
Well, I knew that I didn't want live set pieces, but again, like my theater background's not going to let me not do what I can.
Okay.
So what can I do, especially with solo? What can I do to help the audience see where I'm at?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one reason I picked where I picked, because I love how the projections look on that in that space. I also knew they have great tech people there that I trust implicitly. So, I mean, I'm used to that. This is what you do. You have this was the first time though I got to be in charge on my own with what is going on that wall, how long it's going to be there, what it's going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jessica did the lighting mainly. So that was her. So that was my director. She did the lighting, and then I did the sound and then the visuals. But yeah, it was a lot of it was just function. Like, I wanted to give you a set without looking like, just a suggestion. Plus it was a dream world too. And that was fun because part of the reason I picked that dream world was because it's easier to find kind of funky looking pictures to use.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, so what's going to be next for Blackout? Like, what are you going to do with it next?
I don't know. Like I mentioned, I'm kind of over it.
Okay.
But I'd like to shorten it. I'd like to have, like I said, I was pursuing what I learned about myself and my emotional experience, and then with some interviews with family members and other diagnosed family members, I'm going to do a consult for ADHD, which is autism spectrum and ADHD,
mm-hmm.
and kind of see where I land. There's absolutely I have no problem with a self-diagnosis at all. However, if I ever want to speak on it or write about it or say that out loud, all I can do right now is describe my sensory experiences. And I don't, I have a book of my anecdotal evidence, but I would like to get a diagnosis for peace of mind and for potential, speaking on it and writing about it. Because I know it seems like it's a trendy thing, and it's not really so much a trendy thing as kind of an awareness now of like, oh, we've existed.
We're understanding what it is. Yeah.
We get what it is. And I'm like, everything cleared up, clear as a bell. So it's like, I would like to get some solid, because I don't like going around claiming things that are not true, that I don't know for sure. So that's kind of it. But I'd like to then, with that knowledge, that will inform Blackout. Or I'd like to do a companion piece maybe with Mary Lynn. I switched a lot back and forth and did that with the characters, and people don't usually do that. And I know I don't know if I'd want to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
I have some other projects in mind. I'm really into Liberty right now. I'm really into personifying objects.
Okay.
At the moment. So I'm looking into working on something about Lady Liberty.
Okay. She's probably having a hard time right now.
She's really struggling.
It's a weird spot for her right now.
So she's having a hard time. So I'm working through that. Whether she warrants an entire play, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know if Blackout is the one to take around, but I'm definitely looking forward to exploring it.
Well, I'll tell you this, like as a response to, all the stuff you were saying earlier about diagnosis and stuff. I was diagnosed ADHD about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, later in life, for ADHD typically. And I am so happy I got that diagnosis. I mean, it has really helped my life a lot, just knowing. And then we really were able to take a deep dive into how I was able to be high masking as long as I was, and like why I was like high masking and stuff like that. And it was interesting. I mean, it was really interesting. And it's been, super helpful just in my life, being able to, I don't know if control it's the right word, but in a way, that's kind of how I feel. I kind of feel like Professor X taught me how to use my superpower a little bit.
Well, that's what I want. I have ideas like my pattern recognition, and I know that is strong. And my sensory, my ability to mimic is obviously like I used to think, oh, what a character. I'm not a gifted character actress. I have this mimicry ability to hear things and just interpret them and say them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's probably it, but I also can't get things done during the day and I want to get more done. So I want to know, I was always in the gifted program, right? But it's like people will copy off my test and I'm like, you sure you want to do that?
Mm-hmm.
I just know how to be an awesome student. I know what that looks like.
Yeah. No, I was similar. Like I would know how, if it was something that interests me, it came very naturally. If it wasn't, it didn't come naturally at all. But I would usually be able to play the game to get what I needed out of it.
Totally.
And that was basically how I navigated school. And then of course I did way better in college and beyond because I was interested in pretty much everything I was doing.
Right. Right.
So yeah, well, I encourage you to pursue that journey because
so that's kind of, I was putting this on hold until this was over, and now that's kind of my next priority. And so I don't know if now knowing this, you can look back on the play and see Mary Lynn that was kind of,
I mean, I guess I didn't think about that component as I was watching it, but maybe that's why I enjoyed it as much as I did. Cause it's like,
you could relate to it.
I could relate to some of that,
it's interesting to see who it hits with because, you're like the fifth person with diagnosed ADHD.
That's into it.
A lot.
Oh, that's okay. There you go. That's
no joke.
ADHD people love it.
They do. I do. And I have
other people just say good work. We don't know what their story is.
Neurotips.
No ADHD there.
No ADHD there.
That is an interesting niche you've
I just realized that. Yeah. I'm like, oh my, yeah. 5, 6 people, now 6, including you.
That is so
diagnosed.
Okay.
Loved it. Didn't like it. Loved it.
Like you're one of us. You just don't know it yet.
You just don't know it yet.
We talk about you at all the meetings.
That's the one group I found. I've been looking for the group. That's why they terrify me.
Yeah.
I would get up in front of an acting class or if I have to stand in front of a group and just be myself and stand there, I start crying and shaking and getting overwhelmed. That was the whole coping with the feelings. And it's true. So, yeah. So I'm just a big old faker. I'm just kidding. But masking, yeah, for sure. I also don't like looking people in the eye, and I don't like it when they look me in the eye either. I hate it.
Yeah, I'm not always great with that either. Yeah, it's strange the things you kind of learn about yourself when you're really forced to take a step back and really look at it. And then you read, like I've read a couple books and then I'm just, oh, that's me. Like every single one. Because sometimes it's like those things are so general that it's kind of applicable to everyone at a given point in time.
Absolutely.
Like, if something doesn't interest you, you have trouble focusing on it. That's everybody.
Yeah.
But there's like a spectrum of what it's like every little detail and every little thing. You're like, oh, crap. That's all me. I do all of that.
Yeah, and it's good to know. It's helped me with my boundaries on a lot of stuff, for sure. Then I'm like, well, that's just not going to happen. There's some things I will power through, and other things I'm just not going to fuck with now because it just pleases me in some way, or it stresses me out in some way. I think of all the people I dated, and all the places I've gone. I learned recently that I like traveling by myself and I like doing things by myself and I have no fear in like going in far places and figuring it out. And apparently that's kind of common with people with ADHD because you're often trying to figure things out and looking. And so that doesn't bother you to feel unfamiliar with
Yeah.
That. But then I have this control planner side that's why I had to do the 3-part structure with my play, The Dream Within a Dream, because I couldn't write it until I had some sort of structure. I couldn't put it together. So yeah, it's been an interesting year. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I think a project like The Fringe will do that for you.
I mean, yeah, are you going to be doing the stage version again?
I hope so. I hope, for Termination Fee, I really hope so. I mean, right now we're starting to, get the building blocks together for the film, but I really hope, I want them to both continue to live simultaneously.
Yeah.
So, I sincerely hope that we do more stuff on stage with it. It just depends on, everybody's schedule next year, and do people want to continue it? Like is Sarah into it? Is Drew into it? And but I mean, I'm definitely a yes vote. So I hope we continue. I mean, we've talked about stuff for like next year, like other festivals we want to look into and stuff. So I definitely hope it continues to exist on the stage for for at least a while, and we just can't do it anymore for whatever reason.
No, I mean, I think about all the plays I did, and it's like a 2-weekend run, and then that's it. You rehearse for like 6. I mean, this was so much longer than anything I've ever done, for sure. Obviously something like that, you have to write yourself rather than just being cast in something. Which, by the way, that sounds good for next year. It's like anyone casting something, I'll just play. And
I kind of feel that way too. Like as far as Hollywood is concerned, but I kind of am just if someone wants to cast me in something, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I hear San Diego is a nice fringe festival.
I've heard mixed about that. I've heard as far as the stateside ones, I've heard good things about Atlanta. And then Orlando is actually that one has a pretty good reputation. Although I think the governor is trying to kill it. So we'll see.
Because that one's funded, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think that's what he's coming after.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That one, I've heard good things. My friend has done a lot of improv shows down there where they were paid. Like their whole troupe was flown and housed. And I'm like, give me that. I don't know. I know us poor, well, maybe LA theater should just be a little more lively.
So where can people go to learn more about you?
You can find me. I'm going to get back into TikTok and Instagram doing my character work at Kvanil on the socials, KVANILL. Or Kerri Van Auken on Facebook as well. I do that for my aunts and my cousins. It's still viable.
Yeah,
I don't like crapping on Facebook. I don't.
No, it's still got its it's still got its use. Absolutely.
You can't. I'm not gonna quit it. I'm not gonna quit it. But yeah, so that's where I'm gonna be for the next little bit until I perform again.
Kerri, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun. I appreciate it.
That was Kerri Van Auken. Check out all of her stuff. Music for the 1000 Podcast is provided by Andrew Saxon. I'll be sure to check out his podcast, the Baywatching Podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you're subscribed. Leave us a 5-star review. That really helps, and it goes a long way. And please feel free to email us. You can go to my website, ronflacone.com, use the contact form, or just email me directly. It is ronflaconebooking@gmail.com. That's ronflaconebooking@gmail.com. Well, either way, contact me directly, but you can, if you don't want to use the website, just ronflaconebooking@gmail.com to email me guest suggestions or anything else you'll want. And if you want to support the show on the sustainability end, you can do so over at patreon.com/ronflacone. For Get What You Can level, you get all kinds of cool perks, full stand-up clips not available anywhere else. We do a Zoom hangout once a month. It's a really cool hang with cool, creative, like-minded people. And that's all for a Give What You Can level. Even $1 a month goes a long way. All right, 104. That's what is significant about 104. I feel like we're just in those. These are classroom numbers, building numbers, You hear 104 and you think, well, I guess I don't have to get on an elevator. That kind of thing. Oh, by the way, I'll also humbly mention anyone in Gainesville, Florida going to Fest. I will be part of Fest this year. I'm on the comedy stage. So if you're going to Fest, come say hello. I'm on Saturday, October 25th, and there's details at my website, ronplacone.com, and of course the Fest website. So if you're going to Fest in Gainesville, come say hi. If you're not planning on going to Fest in Gainesville, I am probably not a good enough reason to go to Fest. If you want to see me, there's other opportunities. You shouldn't go to a 3-day music festival in Florida. But anyway, all right. Catch you next week. Peace. Hey guys, Ron Placone here. Take your own 1,000 challenge. No, you don't need to interview 1,000 people, although if you want to do that, go for it. Your 1,000 challenge can be whatever you want. Maybe you want to call a friend out of the blue once a week. Maybe you want to read a book every month. Maybe you want to start a different garden every season. I guess that might be dependent on where you live. Look, the point of the challenge is taking on an endeavor that enriches your life in some way, and it can be measured. And then, of course, you do it regularly. That's what 1,000 is doing for me, and hopefully for you too. The main reason for this podcast and every podcast I've ever done is to build community. So take your own challenge. Then join our Facebook group. It's called 1,000 What's Your Challenge? ? That's 1,000 What's Your Challenge ? And post about what your 1,000 challenge is and the progress you're making. All I ask is that people be encouraging of each other's challenges. This is personal and vulnerable, so be cool. There's enough negativity on social media. We don't need to add to it. For those of you who aren't on Facebook, hopefully in the future we'll be expanding to places like Discord, Reddit, but for now, we're starting on Facebook. And again, that Facebook group is called 1,000 What's Your Challenge? See you there.